Hi everyone, Hare Krishna. We'll wait for the next 3 to 4 minutes for the people to join us. Right. Okay, I'm just had to log in from two devices today. I hope I'm audible to you and my video is visible. Can I get a thumbs up or can I get like a yes in the chat box so that I know? Okay, thanks Prashant. Yeah, thanks Prashant and Shivani. Okay, perfect, thank you. Right, let me get sharing my screen. Yeah, thank you, Kumarji. Thank you. Mm. Okay, great. My screen should be visible to everyone. Are you all able to see my video along with the screen? Because I'm not able to see my video. I don't know why. Okay. Right. Hi, Swami, Prashant. Okay. Giri Sutta. Okay. Is this your first time that you're attending the Bhagavad Gita class? Okay, she's not connected to audio. Just a second. Hare Krishna, Sachi. Hare Krishna, Prashant. Are you sorry, Pranav? Yes. Are you all able to see like the screen and my video while I'm talking? Because I'm on a different device. My video is from my phone. So oh, okay, thanks. Thank you. Perfect. Great. Thank you. Okay, is it time already? Right. We're gonna start now. Like always, I'm requesting for your blessings and prayers before I start this. We learn together the Bhagavad Gita and I start speaking in the session. So I request that you all please bless me so that whatever I may say should be in accordance with what Lord Krishna had instructed to Arjuna and what has been passed down through the Guru Parampara. With that, I'll start with a small prayer. You can all pray with me. Om Ajnanatimirandhasya Jnananjana Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamahyam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Utpadakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunathanvitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadhutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakhanvitamscha He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dina Bandhu Jagatpate Gopesh Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostate Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanusute Devi Pranamami Haripriye Vanchakalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhya Evacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Preshtaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swaminiti Namine Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Pashyati Desha Tarine Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Srivasadi Gaur Bhaktavinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna. Welcome everyone to today's session. As always, the session today is dedicated to His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada, who is the founder Acharya of the International Society of Krishna Consciousness. And we were discussing about Karma Yoga. So I hope you all remember what we discussed last week. I know it's been quite a while, isn't it? So we had seen this overview of the third chapter where we had an introduction of what karma is, what is free will, and also slightly about destiny, right? So we saw that this third chapter had 4 important concepts of tyaga. Okay, tyaga means sacrifice or renunciation, right? And there were 2 types of tyaga. We had true renunciation and false renunciation, right? So there are some important points that's mentioned on the overview here, right? What does true renunciation mean? You do not feel like you possess something. So it's easy for you to give up something that's even dear to you. It's easy for you to give up. So there's detachment from possessiveness, detachment from enjoying propensities, a sense of ownership and a sense that, you have to enjoy it. And we had, and whatever you do, you are doing it as an offering to satisfy God or Vishnu, and not particularly to satisfy yourself. So that is true renunciation. And then we saw what are regulated activities, and we're going to look way more in detail, a lot more in detail about activities or action in today's session. All right. So there are sinful activities, sinless and godless activities, karma yoga, and ritualistic activities called karma kanda. And then Lord Krishna says to Arjuna that you are an example that a lot of people will look up to or follow, right? So whom do we choose as a leader, right? This is what we saw. I can see Lalita auntie here. I'll appreciate if everyone can, not everybody, I know you might not be in a position to put your videos on, but I'll appreciate if I can see you guys so that I know that you're all listening. I know that you're here and I can sense what you're understanding and what you're not. If you can put on your videos, that'll be great. Right. Perfect. Hi, Sachi. Okay. So then we saw enemy. Okay. What's the enemy in spiritual progress? And that is lust, right? And we also saw what's the meaning of lust. It's not the usual meaning that we think of it. Okay. So yes, thank you everyone who's come on video. I saw Kumar sir also in the video for a while. Okay, perfect. So right, so that's the summary for the third chapter, which we saw in the previous week. Today we are going to see more about what is action, what is karma, and what are the different types of karma, and what's there in the 4th chapter of the Bhagavad Gita. And by the way, very important and famous shlokas are there in this chapter. Let's see who can catch hold of those. So the acronym for this chapter is ears. Okay, ears. So what does each of these letters mean? E stands for eternal knowledge. What's the kind of knowledge that we are getting these days? And what is eternal knowledge that will always stay with us? So we'll see what that means. What is accurate understanding? What is akarma or reactionlessness? And again, coming back to surrender, which we had touched upon in the 2nd chapter of the Bhagavad Gita. So we'll see. So the first of these is eternal knowledge, isn't it? So what's eternal knowledge or eternal education? In the first bit of this chapter, of the 4th chapter, we see in the first 10 shlokas, so what does eternal education mean? And from whom can we get this eternal education? And who can learn it, basically? Who can transmit it and who can learn it? So what do you think? What do you mean? What do you think eternal education means? Can anyone put it? I mean, you're all free to put it in the chat box, please, so that. Okay. Yeah, that's absolutely fine. People who are on work shifts and just listening, don't worry. You can give your responses. It's not mandatory to put your videos on. Just that couldn't do an in-person class today. I'll appreciate if you can come on video for whomever it's possible and convenient. Yeah.
Hey, am I audible?
Yes, Ditanshu. Is it Ditanshu?
Yeah, it is Ditanshu.
Yes.
Right. So you talked about eternal knowledge. I think you talked about what is eternal knowledge and from who can we get the eternal knowledge from. So
No, we are going to speak about it. I just asked, what do you understand by eternal knowledge?
What do I understand by eternal knowledge? Okay, so my understanding of eternal knowledge would be the knowledge about oneself and one's existence, of how to achieve the two basic needs of human life, that is peace and happiness, and how to serve humanity, because I believe everybody comes to earth with a reason, predominantly to serve humanity. So probably that would be eternal knowledge for me.
Okay. Nice. Thank you. That was very profound and can go into hours of discussion, but thank you for the answer. I have some interesting answers on the chat box. Kumar ji says, knowledge that will remain forever. Okay. This is something that I was looking for in the answers. Knowledge that will not modify. Perfect. Pranav says. And Kartikeya says, knowledge that never gets old. Okay. So we had this concept of reincarnation and, birth and death in the second chapter, isn't it? Now imagine somebody, let's say I have done dentistry in this life. Okay. So I got a degree in dentistry. So Shachi says knowledge that just exists like God, the universe. Okay. It's always present. Right. Perfect. So I did dentistry in this lifetime. Do you think in the next life, imagine I am born somewhere, okay? Born somewhere, do not know which body. Let's say I'm born in Ethiopia, okay? So do you think I'll be born with my degree in dentistry? The knowledge that I had gathered in this lifetime, will that come along with me during my next lifetime and beyond? Yes or no? I can see Shachi saying no. What about others? I want to see your answers in the chat box. Kumarji says maybe not. Okay. No. Okay. Priya says no. Arushi says no. Yes. So unless it's some exceptional scenario where people remember stuff from past lives. Okay, Vasana. Vasana is something different. So most likely 99.99% I am going to remember nothing. And of course, my degree is not going to come with me. Even if I remember something about dentistry, my qualification or my education is not going to come with me, isn't it? But what do we mean by eternal education? It's the education that the knowledge that we acquire once stays with us through lifetimes. Prashant says we can't even remember what we ate last week. How will you remember your past life? So true. I can't remember what I ate last night. Forget last week. So that's how it is. Eternal knowledge or eternal education is something that once we acquire, it comes along and stays with us, right? Stays with it is the education that we acquire as a soul that does not come with this body, right? Okay. So from whom can we get this kind of knowledge? Which university, which teacher, which scholar can give us this knowledge? And what knowledge is it? Let's see. First, let's see who is eligible to actually get this kind of knowledge. Who can get this kind of knowledge? So the first thing we see is a devotee, a friend of God, like Arjuna, let's say. And a person who has curiosity, who has relevant inquiry, who has questions that are relevant to gaining this eternal knowledge. And there are instructions in the scriptures where when we pose a question, we have to pose it with a sense of humility, a sense of surrender to the person in front of us, right? A qualified person. And that's when we are eligible to get that knowledge from this qualified person. So these kind of instructions, who follows and sets out to, satisfy his curiosity, or let's say sets out to understand something. Sorry. So that is when he becomes eligible to acquire knowledge. I told you what a devotee means, right? I think in the last class, before that, we saw what the word devotee means. Can somebody tell me in the chat box? Or if you'd like to unmute, that's also fine. You can unmute and tell. What do you think a devotee means? Has everyone forgotten? Okay, you can tell your understanding, it's fine. Today's session is going to be a lot of questions. So, okay. I'm getting expected answers in the first go. Okay. Anybody else has other responses? I see Pranav's answer here. Pranav says a person who surrenders, right? Person who surrenders to God, who is ready to take instructions, believing that whatever instructions he gets are going to be for his good. Surrenders without any expectations. Perfect. So that person is called a devotee. So such a person who has surrendered, ready to take instructions, completely, open to all instructions, right? This person is called a devotee. So these kind of people, a devotee, a friend who has relevant curiosity, who's following the instructions and asking his question with humility and surrender, this person is eligible to acquire this kind of eternal knowledge. But who gives this knowledge? From where do we get this knowledge? So this is described in the Shastras. Sampradaya vihina ye mantraste nishphala mata. So we have this concept of a lot of sound vibrations and mantras in our Indian tradition, isn't it? But when we can all chant mantras, and it's not said that they will have no effect, but the actual and complete potency of the mantra can be achieved or experienced only when you get that mantra through disciplic succession, when it has been passed on through a lineage of gurus, right? Passed down through the Guru parampara, or the lineage of Guru Shishya. That's when the mantra, if you acquire it through this lineage, that's when you can completely get the reward of chanting that mantra, or get to experience the complete potency of that mantra. So any mantra that does not come in disciplic succession is considered to be virtually fruitless. You might get some minimal good virtues, or some, if you chant it over and over again with determination, you might get some reward, but it's not the complete effect of that mantra, right? And how do you know that this person who is teaching you a mantra, is this person the right one? Is he, how do you know whether this person is, let's say, somebody who just wore ochre robes and decided to fool people? Or is it an actual guru? How do you know? So in our scriptures, a lot of things have been already predicted, prophesied. It's pre-written on who will appear when as a guru to, share this eternal knowledge. So the it has been written in this mantra before, thousands of years before the appearance of these acharyas. What has been written? 4 divine individuals will appear in the age of Kali, which is said to be the present time of Kali Yuga. And they will found disciplic schools. The founders of these 4 sampradayas are Lakshmi or Shri, Brahma, Rudra, and Sanaka Rishi. And the acharyas of the Kali age, who follow their lines, will appear in the holy city of Purushottama Kshetra in Orissa. So these 4 acharyas will appear, has been previously written. The Sri Sampradaya, led by Ramanujacharya, the Brahma Narada Sampradaya, led by Madhvacharya, the Shiva Sampradaya, and the Sanaka Rishi Sampradaya. These have been predicted. So gurus who come in this lineage are qualified persons to distribute this eternal knowledge, right? Because they have received it from the right source. Okay. So now this book, Bhagavad Gita as it is, has been written by His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada, right? So how do you know whether he's a guru that can be trusted or not? So if you ask him, who was your teacher? Who was your guru? It was Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati. Who was his teacher? It was Gaura Kishora Das Babaji Maharaj. Who was his teacher? It was Bhakti Vinod Thakur. So if you go on tracing back the lineage, he comes as the 32nd Acharya in the lineage, and you go back and see it goes to Madhvacharya, then Vyasa. Srila Vyasadeva is the one who wrote the Mahabharata, okay, and the Vedas. He's called Veda Vyasa. So then, who gave that knowledge to him? Narada Muni, who is infamously, treated like the gossip monger, but he is not. He's an extremely wise person with a superpower or ability to travel across the three worlds. So then Brahma, and then goes back to Lord Krishna. So when you trace back this lineage, you should be able to go back to God. And that's when you realize that this person is qualified to give us eternal knowledge. So what's the importance of this lineage system? What's the use? Why do you even need this disciplic succession and gurus and all of this? So the first thing is this preserves the teaching as it is from what was given by Lord Krishna to Arjuna, then to Brahma, then to Narada, then to Vyasa, then to Madhvacharya. It preserves the teaching and the purpose, right? We learn to embody the teachings and then impart that knowledge to the next generation. How does this work basically? How does the parampara system work? We learn this knowledge, we try to embody the teachings and impart this knowledge further. And who can receive the knowledge? Again, already discussed. A person who's Krishna's or God's friend and who's surrendered, who's a devotee, such a person can gain this knowledge or becomes eligible to gain this knowledge, right? That comes through the disciplic succession. So what is this eternal knowledge that comes through disciplic succession that a guru gives and that one can gain when he's a devotee? What this knowledge is? It's the knowledge about the self. Who am I? We discussed this already. What's our real identity? So it encompasses this. Who am I? And also, who is God? Okay, who is God and what are his opulences? What are his qualities or properties that make him the supreme? Who is this God? And then knowledge of our relationship with God. So this eternal knowledge comprises of all these three important components. Who are we? Who is God? And what is our relationship with God? Right? So this is eternal knowledge. And as we progress through the Bhagavad Gita, each of these components gets explained sequentially. We saw who are we. We will have several chapters about who God is and what are his opulences, what are his qualities, right? What is our relationship with him? We'll get to this part from the 12th chapter onwards. So what's the difference between us? We are called living entities. The word for it in Sanskrit is jiva. Okay, jiva or living entities. So what's the difference between us and God? Lord Krishna is God and we are living entities. What makes us different from him? So Krishna is said to be Achyuta or infallible. He has eternal existence, okay, and he remembers everything that he has undergone. He is not subject to the influence of forgetting, influence of the wheel of illusion. He is not subject to that, okay, because illusion itself works under his instructions, right? So he is not bewildered by illusion himself. So he remembers everything. He appears by his own will. Do we take birth because we want to take birth? What do you think? Do we take birth by our own will? Does death come to us by our own will? No, it happens as a law of nature, isn't it? But for Krishna or for God, that's not the case. God and his incarnations appear as a result of his will, right? Not as a result of some karmic cycle. Okay. Then whenever God appears, although he looks like a normal person, let's say in the as Krishna or as Rama when he appeared, he looked like a normal person, like anybody, like let's say our normal human body, how it looks. They had exactly the same kind of bodies. They looked similar to us. But still, their bodies are spiritual. Their bodies are considered to be spiritual. Although they look like us, their bodies are considered to be spiritual. But our body is material. What do you mean by this? If you boil it down, what happens? I mean, if you try to look at the body in material sense, what happens? It's just a bag of pus, blood, bones, skin, and a few organs, isn't it? So that's the material body. But for God, when he appears, it's considered to be spiritual body, because these remnants were never found for any of the incarnations of God, which were described in the Shastras. Okay. Somebody can come suddenly and tell you that I am an incarnation of God. So how do you verify it? What do you think? Before accepting it, you have to do some research. So what would your research be? If somebody suddenly claims in front of you and says, I can do this and that, I can do some magic, miracles, and I am God. So how will you verify if this person is God or not? In the chat box, very quickly. We have very less time to proceed further. So, okay. See something in the chat box. Is it important to just chant the mantra or to understand the meaning of the mantra as well? Because you're asked to chant the mantra without knowing the meaning of it. Okay, Prince has a question in the chat box. So, anyway, with our discussion in place, what's the question that I asked? Yeah, if somebody claims to be God, what will you do to verify that? So description of God and all his incarnations are there in our scriptures written beforehand. So the first thing that we have to do is go back, read the scriptures and verify if this is ever predicted, right? And that's a huge problem for us because we don't know how to read our scriptures. Prince is asking, we tell the mantra, but we don't know the meaning. So we know there's a book, it's a scripture, it's holy, but we don't know what's there in it, isn't it? That's the problem with us. So anyway, well, to answer Prince's question, whether you know the meaning of a mantra or not, if you chant it, it has its effect. If you chant it, if it's given to you by a person, a qualified person coming from the disciplic succession, and you chant it without knowing the meaning of it, it still gives you all the effects. Why? Because mantra is like fire. Whether you know what the fire is, whether you're a small 5-year-old child, whether you're an 80-year-old adult, or whether you're a dog, cat, doesn't matter. You go and touch the fire, you are burnt. So that's how mantras are. If you know that fire will burn you, and still go try to explore the fire, still burns you. If you don't know that fire will burn you and you go and put your hand in it, still it burns you. So irrespective of whether you know the meaning or not, you will get the effect, provided you are chanting the mantra once you have received it from a qualified person. Okay, right. So we were looking at the difference between Krishna and living entities. Right? Krishna has a spiritual body, we have material bodies. He appears by his own will, we are forced to appear because of our past karma. Right? So for Krishna, there is no difference between his body and himself, which is considered to be the soul. Okay, there's no difference between the two. But for us, the soul acquires an external covering or a body which has gross and subtle components. right? Krishna also has innumerable incarnations and he remembers them all. Okay. But for us, we might have taken thousands of bodies before coming into this particular lifetime. But we don't remember that, whatever we have underwent. Okay. So yes. So now there's a very important shloka in this chapter. When does God appear? He says in the 4th chapter, Yada yada hi dharmasya glanir bhavati bharata abhyutthanam adharmasya tadatmanam srijami. So whenever there is a decline in religious practice, O descendant of Bharata, and there is a predominant rise in irreligion or non-righteousness, at that time, I will descend. He decides to incarnate. This is what he says. I'm sure a lot of you might have heard this shloka before. And why does he have to come? God in our scriptures is believed to have his own eternal kingdom with all facilities, with all kind of opulences. Then why does he even have to come? So he says, Paritranaya sadhunam vinashaya cha dushkritam dharma samsthapanarthaya sambhavami yuge yuge. To deliver the pious and to annihilate the miscreants, to re-establish the principles of religion, I myself appear millennium after millennium. So, unlike I don't know what's the current belief in physics about time, but in our tradition, time is believed to be a wheel. It's always a wheel of time. It's a cycle that progresses towards the same set of, yugas, through the same set of time periods over and over again. Every time period, there is this rise in irreligion. Whenever there is a rise in irreligion, God decides to appear so that the pious people are protected and the irreligious ones or miscreants are annihilated. And like I mentioned, God's appearance and activities might appear to be very normal to many of us. If we had seen him in person, he might seem to us just like another person that we know. But that's not the truth. It's neither his body nor his activities are anything on this material platform. So a person who is able to realize this is the one who becomes eligible to attain God's kingdom or eternal abode. Or Arjuna, he says in this shloka, in the 9th shloka of this chapter, Janma karmacha me divyam evam yo vekti tatvatah tyaktva deham punarjanma naiti mameti sorjuna. Punarjanma means this repeated cycle of birth and death. So a person who is able to understand that my activities and my incarnations in this world are not on the material platform. They're transcendental. This person who has the true realization will not have to take birth again in this material world. He attains my eternal abode, O Arjuna. We will see what is the spiritual world and what's the material world, what's the difference between the two. In the further chapters, we'll see. And a lot of myths are there about our culture, especially after we were invaded several times. There's lots of myths, lots of misconceptions. So what are these myths and misconceptions? The number one thing is the caste system. Everybody, I think more than people from other countries, it's our own people who are condemning the caste system. What do you all think? Is the caste system good or bad? And if it's good, why is it good? And if it's bad, why is it bad? Very quickly in the chat box. Or let's put it this way. Two answers you can give. So, is the caste system bad? That's the question. Okay. If it's yes, then are you considering it man-made evil? Or if it's no, the caste system is not bad, then the possible explanation is it's a Vedic system, but it is misunderstood. Okay. So what do you think? What's your answer? Is the caste system bad? Yes or no? In the chat box, please. It's bad because it divides people. Okay. Okay. Shivani says it's bad. Priya says it's bad. Okay. What about others? What's your opinion on the caste system? I don't see anyone answer. It's unfair. It's an unfair system. Okay. Surely, in the grand scheme, everybody is entitled to know God and attain moksha, and God considers everybody the same. So should we. Okay. Okay. Let's see what God says about this question. Is the caste system bad? If we asked Lord Krishna, what did he have to say about the caste system? Prashant says it's just misunderstood. We have entirely changed the narrative about it. Okay. Okay. We're coming towards that. Right. So what is this misconception about the caste system? What's the problem? What does Lord Krishna have to say if you ask him about what? Look, God, you made this caste system. What did you make it for? What was it? So what does he say? Chatur varnyam maya srishtam guna karma vibhagashaha. Guna karma. Tasya kartaram apimam vidya kartaram avyayam. So according to the three modes of material nature, okay, we'll see what the three modes of material nature are. Sattva, Rajas, and Tamas. You might have heard of it. And the work associated with them. The four divisions of human society are created by me. So is the four divisions of human society, the caste system, is it created based on birth? Does the Lord say anywhere here? He has created it based on birth. And although I am the creator of the system, you should know that I am yet the non-doer, being unchangeable. Anyway, focusing on the first two lines, Chaturvarnya Maya Srishtam, Guna Karma Vibhagashaha. Guna means one's natural propensity. Let's say a person, so Sattva, Rajas, and Tamas are described as, Rajas is somebody who has a lot of passion, who has a lot of strength, warrior qualities. Okay. Quality. Guna means quality. Okay. And karma means the type of action he does, the type of work somebody does. So what does God say? The caste system was created based on a person's qualities and the type of work that he does, not based on which household he is born into. Okay. So in the previous times, in the Vedic times, it used to run in families. People were taught skills. So they had these skills and they also had the qualities to perform those skills. So they had these surnames, okay, or they belong to these families. But it was never mandatory that if you are born into a family, you have to do that. You have to be in that particular part of the caste system, varna of the caste system. We'll continue our discussion about the caste system further. The meeting is going to end, so I'm going to end it here, and I request you all to please join back. We continue this discussion about varnashrama or caste system, right? Okay. Just going to stop sharing, and I'll see you guys again. Okay.